Sonic 06 is a bad game. Now, I think this is common knowledge to a lot of people, but there are people who genuinely enjoy Sonic 06, and for the longest time I couldn't comprehend why. And it having dragged on longer and longer since the last time I've played 06, I decided to give it another shot. Maybe there was something I was missing. Maybe something good about the game could pop up, and I could enjoy it a bit more. Did that happen? Not exactly. I still think 06 is a terrible game, and easily one of the worst Sonic games, right now down there with Labyrinth and Rise of Lyric. Although I haven't played Rise of Lyric yet. Let me know if you want me to do that. So anyway, Sonic 06 is a game that I've had a rough history with. I played it a few times, probably a year ago now, and then I played Project 06 as well. And while Project 06 definitely fixed a lot of the flaws I had with 06, it did not fix all of them, because 06 is still fundamentally flawed at its core. But it is a very cool project with a lot of stuff done right. It's very cool to see that fans are willing to revisit past history and make Sonic 06, well, better? But this video is completely focusing on the base Sonic 06, and more specifically Sonic the Hedgehog's story in Sonic 06. The other two Hedgehogs I'll cover in a later video when I finish playing through them. This video is solely focused about Sonic's story. And ooh boy, is it bad. Now, starting with the actual story of Sonic's story itself, this just is not it. Sonic and Elisa's relationship throughout the text is just awful, the dialogue is bad, and the cutscenes do nothing to get me excited unless they're CGI, because the in-game cutscenes are just slow, awkward, and sluggish. They use the same engine as the game, and the game looks awful already, so this is just not doing it for me. The game just looks flat, drab, and boring, especially in these cutscenes. The characters just sort of slowly, awkwardly move around here. It's just awkward. The cutscenes are not good in this game, unless they're CGI. And the CGI is great, I have no issues there. Another thing I have an issue with is the character design. Holy crap, did they mess up Eggman. Eggman looks atrocious here. Now, Mike Pollock still does a great job voicing Eggman, but oh god, this Eggman design is easily the worst character design this series has ever seen. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but still, this Eggman design sucks. I don't like it, I don't think anyone should. The rest of the characters look fine, but they're missing a lot of charm and personality they had in the adventure games. And that's how to describe 06 as a whole, just a massive downgrade from what came before, in terms of visual presentation at least. Obviously it's running on more powerful hardware, so it looks nicer technically, but I think those older games had a lot better visual style, and a better art style and direction. So yeah, the story of 06 definitely isn't great. This time travel stuff, you meet up with a couple of other characters, Sonic is getting pursued and trying to get killed by Silver, resulting in one of the worst boss fights in the history of Sonic games. Time travel shenanigans, ahoy, Eggman kidnaps a princess. It's just not very interesting to me. I'm not one for stories in Sonic games anyway, but this one just didn't do it for me. It's a far cry from what SA2 did. I hear the other stories in like the other chapters of the game are better, but I haven't gotten to that part yet, so we'll see if it gets better. But story definitely didn't do it for me here. So let's move on to the actual gameplay. The gameplay of Sonic 06 is where I saw the most redemption for this game, especially in the level design. While there is quite a bit of automation here with a lot of dash panels, it's generally not as bad as in a game like Forces. Even though I enjoy Forces a lot more than this game, I definitely think that the automation is much better handled here, mainly reserved for visual spectacles, and that's when it doesn't glitch out, because a lot of these dash panel interactions are just weird. But a lot of times you fall out, and sort of, it's just really weird here. The main shine of this game is in the level design itself. There's a ton of alternate pathways you can take in the forest and desert levels. You just climb over the mountain to get to a new path, or drop down and use the flame shield, which is different than the way it worked in the past. And it's worse. With Sonic and Elise, they just pull their power together and can walk on water and quicksand, which instantly kills you if you don't do the shield. It's fine, it's a fine gimmick, but it's just not that exciting. And honestly, in my opinion, the level gimmicks themselves feel kinda underplayed here compared to the older games. The level gimmicks just aren't as interesting here. Like, there is the floating turtle and the jumping on the vines, but it's just like, the level gimmicks feel like they could have been fleshed out more. Just like a lot of design issues with this game, they could have just been fleshed out more. And one thing that definitely needed a lot more work is those controls. Every single character in Sonic's story feels bad to play as. Tails is too stiff on the ground, but way too loose in the air. He just moves around so quickly in the air and just way too slippery to control. Knuckles just feels bad in general. Wall climbing portions him and Rouge share in terms of their controls are bad. Like, the camera constantly glitches out, and the camera in this game is just nothing good either. There are a ton of camera glitches and weird moments where it just shakes. It's just not good. The camera is definitely one of the worst parts of Auto 6, and in times when you have to fight a ton of the enemies, it just does not cooperate, resulting in a few hilarious moments like these. And then going to Sonic, he has his usual array of moves, and he also has these gems that he can use to power up, the purple one absolutely breaking the game, making it so you get basically infinite jumps. Sonic controls here. His distinct lack of momentum here, he goes at the same slow pace constantly, especially made worse when carrying Elise. Sonic just feels sort of stiff to control here. It feels weird. It's like stiff and loose at the same time. Some things feel fine, but others just don't feel good to do. Sonic is just weird to control in this game, and I don't find it very enjoyable. And especially the combat, because the combat in this game is just mashing the homing attack. Like, seriously, you could just get through everything fine by mashing the homing attack, and it's just not fun. Sonic 06 in general is just not enjoyable to me. And that's my main issue in the game. Like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. Run to this section, homing attack, run to that section, homing attack. I can see a lot of the creative ideas here with the alternate pathways, but Sonic 06 just falls flat on design so often. And then going into some of the more miscellaneous issues I have with 06, one of the worst issues about 06 is that god-awful save system. Not only is it in the levels itself that checkpoints are very rare, which could be forgiven if when you got a game over you just start back from the beginning of the stage, but no. Here, when you get a game over, you have to do these town missions all over again. And town missions are often really boring and tedious, especially the ones before Kingdom Valley. These are just bad. The camera controls make 2 of them awful, and it's just not enjoyable to go through these. It takes so much time before you can get back into the actual action of the stages, and it just ruins the game so much. Well, not exactly ruins the game, but just ruins my enjoyment of it. 06 made me feel like I wanted to quit a lot, mostly during these town missions, because when I got a game over, I want to get back to that part as fast as possible, to get better at the game. But this just doesn't allow for it because I have to redo all these obnoxious missions, go through the hub worlds, which by the way, are very unclear which direction you need to go. Like, there's a few things here that tell you where approximately you should go, but the hub worlds are just so big, and they have no cause to be this big because they just come off as super empty and maze-like because you can never find the way you're going. These hub worlds and town missions just aren't good. They take away so much from the enjoyment I could have had from these stages otherwise. I want to get back into the action fast, but here I'm just forced to slog through these missions that I just don't enjoy doing. Now addressing the elephant in the room, the glitches, and problems with the game. And yes, obviously since this is a playthrough of 06, I did encounter glitches, but they weren't as bad as the last few times I've played it, probably because I'm on a better computer now, and I did play this on Xenia, which means that the loading screens were much shorter. If I was playing this on original hardware, I'm sure these loading screens would have still been atrociously long. And especially during conversations with people, the game loads constantly. It's actually embarrassing how often this loads, and how long the loading screens would have been, had I not been on Xenia. Aside from that, it's just weird gameplay moments that completely break the pace, and just sort of make the game really weird. There's a lot of these moments where the camera glitches out, or something that you were supposed to do normally just, like, doesn't work. A lot of things in this game just don't work, especially the gems. But yeah, there's a lot of things here that just break constantly throughout the game. Not massive enough to make it nigh unplayable anymore, but it still just detracts from the enjoyment of the game so much. To me, these glitches aren't enjoyable enough to take advantage of, but they're not so bad to the point where you could laugh at them. They're just inconveniences for the sake of being inconvenient. It's just poor game design here, and the passion and ambition that this game had won't defend it from just not being fun to play. So that's my conclusion with 06, at least for Sonic's story. It's just not fun to play. I do not enjoy myself when I'm playing this game. It's slow, it's boring, there's a lot of these sections that just drag on for way too long, the cutscenes are really bad, other than the CGI ones, the story just doesn't do it for me, it's just an all-around unfun game. There's nothing I can say that I truly enjoyed that here. At most I'll say, oh yeah, that seemed pretty cool, but other than that, I just wasn't having fun playing this game. And that's what I'm going to take away from 06. It had potential, sure, and if they worked on it more, yeah, it could have been great. But as it stands, this game is just not fun to play for me. That's it for me, Devron, signing off.